El Chapo has built a huge multinational criminal organization, unparalleled in history. He's like the Amazon.com of illegal drugs.
This guy is a business logistic genius. If he had chosen to go the right way, he might be the head of Univision or ABC or another major corporation. That's how smart he is.
They pretty much control the wholesale, the trafficking, and the distribution of all drugs that come into Arizona and a bigger part of the United States.
His corporation acts like a computer virus, grabbing information, expanding territory, destroying enemies, and taking control.
Un cartel funciona como cualquier organización, corporación. Hay un jefe que está encargado de toda la organización, tiene varios lugartenientes y con ellos pasan órdenes a los jefes de plazas.
With a simple formula that offers partnerships, he diffuses potential enemies and turns them into allies, and sometimes even friends.
Other drug dealers have tried to place their people everywhere. But what he do is he reached an agreement with the locals, and he said, like, okay, you continue controlling this area, but I'm above you. And with this system, it was like franchising. He's controlling everywhere. He's got agreements with people in Central America, in South America, in Europe, and even with the Chinese people, there was an agreement with a gang from China. So we could go everywhere and do a story about El Chapo.
And where else did you see El Chapo's reach in the world?
We also realized that the Europe market is very important for El Chapo because they pay much more for the drug than what they pay in the United States.
So you're doing a documentary about a Mexican drug lord, and yet you'd have to travel to Colombia, to Panama, to Spain. What does this tell you about his reach around the world? Yeah,
he's everywhere. And the amazing thing is that he also threatened people in Spain. I mean, I didn't expect the Spanish authorities to be threatened by El Chapo, but then the man who handled this operation didn't want to go on camera, and I finally convinced him, but he asked me not to release his name or his surname. I find it quite strange, but he said, like, you know, El Chapo's El Chapo.
The key to El Chapo's success is access to the U.S. market, and he gained that through a brutal war with his rival cartel, the Zetas.
All these cartels, whether it's the Zetas or whether it's Sinaloa, they murder people right and left. That's how they enforce their rules.
First, he took control of the smuggling routes. Then, he found clever ways to get the drugs across one of the most militarized borders in the world.
So El Chapo realized pretty early on that one of his biggest challenges was to get the drugs across into the United States. And he came up with this brilliant idea of creating tunnels.
Well, the first tunnel was in the 90s. It was in Douglas, Arizona. These are million-dollar structures. He brings the miners from the state across the border, and they do these humongous things. They've got concrete walls. They've got electricity. They had rails, and some of them were like hydraulic rails so that they could carry massive amounts of marijuana.
In Nogales, Arizona, Tiffany went underground, literally, to take a closer look at some of the 127 tunnels controlled by El Chapo. Through their investigation, the Univision reporters confirmed the location of 62 of them.
This Nogales, the Plaza of Nogales, is controlled by Chapo Guzman Sinaloa cartel.
And how common is it to see tunnels in this segment of the border?
This right here, it's amazing it hasn't caved in on itself. Since 1990, we found well over 100 tunnels just in this area, which is less than a half a mile.
And they're experts in the mining, aren't they?
Absolutely. Sonora is known for mining. So what we found through our intelligence department is that a lot of these people that are used to dig these tunnels are engineers that were laid off from the mines or may work for them still.
The tunnels are the main attraction. Just days ago, on October 31st, almost as a Halloween treat, U.S. and Mexican authorities discovered another super tunnel that ran for a third of a mile between San Diego and Tijuana, the same city where Gerardo found one right in front of a police station.
They take drugs from Mexico to the United States, and they bring back money.
And guns.
And guns.
And guns.
So I actually did a story
That's
about
his
gun
trademark.
trafficking, and I went into one of these tunnels, and it is incredible. I mean, it was worth over $1 million, but they said that within a couple of weeks he would have made that money back just by bringing drugs into the United States and guns and cash down.
He plays the odds too. He knows his math. He uses the tunnels for the big loads. He's completely daring. He's nuts. He clones Border Patrol cars. He gets the Border Patrol exactly the same thing, and he passes it across the border. Utility vehicles, everything that would look normal crossing the border. And he does that for the heroin and the cocaine and the meth, which is the smaller amounts. He uses the pedestrians.
From submarines to woodlogs, El Chapo has shown great creativity.
From an 18-wheeler to aircraft to U.S. mail, UPS, FedEx, to the trunk of a car, to the backpack of an 18-year-old riding a bus. Chapo does not play by the rules. He has unlimited resources.
Every time we put pressure on our cartels, whether it's technology, manpower, personnel on the border, they will become more creative, and then there's always the chance that they will change their tactics.
To maintain these sophisticated operations, El Chapo needs money, and he's got it. Tons of it. He's been on the Forbes list of billionaires 4 times since 2009.
He has a lot of protection around him, both as security guards and people that are willing to protect him because he has a lot of money and assets to throw around.
Financial power gives him a long reach. From the hills of Sinaloa in Mexico, the shadow of El Chapo stretches across the oceans and deep into urban America.
So the majority of the drugs that you see in Chicago are controlled by El Chapo?
Mostly, yes. The DEA is going bananas in Chicago because they don't know what to do. There's so much drugs, and it's so pure. The heroin they've seen is like 80–90% pure. So everybody is smoking it, snorting it. There's no need of needles, no AIDS, no hepatitis, and it's $10 for a small bag. We got this amazing video where you see people standing in line, Mariana, you wouldn't believe it, in the middle of the day, 11 o'clock in the morning, and in a matter of seconds, boom, 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 15 people in that line, and everybody went with their heroin.
And all of this is controlled by El Chapo?
Well, they have what they call the choke points, which is people like this African-American, his name was Kylie Murray, and everybody thought he was an NBA, player, because he had the whole bling bling, going on. He had the Ferrari, the Porsche. He had homes all over the place. Well, guess what? This guy was connected to El Chapo because the DEA knows.
The choke point is that person, that entity that deals with the street gangs, but also has some connection to the cartels. By targeting those people, we've got the ability to work with our friends at the police department down to the street level to interrupt the violence that the narcotics are causing.
We have people in Chicago that has been killed, part of his organization in Chicago. So
he's everywhere.
He is everywhere.
He might be here, and we don't know.
Hope not.
Next, the legend of El Chapo is born.
Alias El Chapo Guzmán.